welcome to the Lead Gen Underground. I'm here with my buddy Josh Culler today of Culler Media, and Josh has just like blown out what I thought that anyone could do with video in such a short period of time. Seemingly effortless for this guy to make himself and others look really good on camera, and that's why I knew he's the go-to guy. Last week, Josh, we talked about. I brought on like 6 tactics that everyone could do to start generating leads today, like absolutely right now for very low cost. Video is one we did not talk about, but everyone can pull out their iPhone and start going at it in some sort of strategy for whatever objective. Just give me a little background on yourself and then what you think, what should someone start doing if they're brand new to video?
Yeah, for sure. So appreciate you having me on here. I know this was a little last minute, but I'm like, dude, I'll make it work. Let's do this thing. Appreciate you and a lot of great content that's going on in the Lead Gen Underground. So kudos to you on building that out. And Thanks, then so a little bit about myself. I'll spend like 30 seconds on this. I've been in the real estate investing industry for 7 years. We're in a different time right now, and I've been through not the the 08 recession, but I've been through a couple of different cycles where when I first got started, many of you guys know Gary Harper. He hired me. We were wholesaling virtually in Michigan, and we were partners with a couple other people doing wholesaling across the Midwest in 5 different states. And when I first got started, we were doing all dispositions marketing. There was absolutely no acquisitions marketing because the HUD was hot, MLS was hot. So we were building cash buyers lists and stuff like that. And then obviously around 2015, 2016, 2017, that merged into I remember almost like yesterday, HUD getting shut off where there was no more deals, and we had to switch literally overnight going from dispositions marketing into acquisitions marketing. And so then that's obviously been ever since. And I'm telling people now, like, start building your buyers list. If you haven't already, like you're going to miss out because of this whole craziness that's going on. So been through a couple of different areas of cycles, not massive market cycles, but definitely different cycles. And like I said, worked with Gary Harper. We were buying and selling in the Midwest. I was the marketing director for the company. We were averaging about between 250, 300 deals a year of wholesaling.
Wow.
So it was a monster company, right? Then, so I've been in a part of that for, the past 7 years in this industry. Last year, in March, I went full-time into my business, Culler Media, which we do results-driven content marketing for active real estate investors and influencers in the real estate investing industry. So that's what we focus on is, content as a whole, but primarily, video is going to be the primary piece of content that people think about when they think content marketing. So that's what we do. And then what was the next question?
Why is video so important?
Video. So video is extremely important because it immerses people when it comes to consuming content. Whereas, let's just take, for instance, and I could sit here and give you guys, a whole slew of statistics about why video content's important, that kind of thing. But you could just go to Google and type in why video is important and find statistics on your own, right? And so I don't need to sell you on that. Everybody knows that video is important. But the reason why it's so important is because it's immersive when it comes to the senses for the type of content that people, consume. So you take, for instance, podcasting. Obviously, podcasting is a massive thing right now. This call right here could be turned into the Lead Gen Underground podcast. You could just strip the audio and turn it into that. So there's a lot of possibilities when it comes to it. But the bottom line is with podcasting, most people are listening to podcasts while they're doing something else, whether that's driving into the office or, just like hanging out of the house or whatever you want to do. However you listen to podcasts and consume those, you're still actively doing something else. Nobody just sits in a chair right here and listens to a podcast and do nothing else, right? But when you're watching a video, you're holding your phone, you're immersed in it, your senses are engaged, your ears, your eyes, just everything, your attention is inside that video. And so that's by far the reason why it's by far the best way to connect with your target audience is because of that purpose right there, that you're going to lock people in. Now, that being said, the trick is to get people locked in the first place. And so once you're able to do that, then, video is obviously the most powerful thing, but that goes for any content. I mean, if you're going to go into a blog or an article, if you're, not intrigued within the first sentence, then you're not going to read it anyway. So that principle goes across the board, but that's obviously the biggest reason. And it's predicted by 2021, by the end of 2021, that Facebook is going to be 90% video content. And that's a truth. And if you look at it right now, it's between 62 and 66% all content's on Facebook right now is video. So, and that's just one thing. Obviously you got YouTube, it's 100% video. Instagram is going that way as well. And LinkedIn is going heavy on video. So there's just tons. And obviously when you get into like SEO and websites and stuff like that, you know, Google is looking for credible videos in addition to what you got going on your website. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So that brings me to a point here. When we're looking at someone just starting out, right? And I'm just going to say I'm going to commit to doing 2-3 videos a week of whatever. I'm looking at obviously the big platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube for video. What do you think? I'm not sure how to differentiate in my mind sometimes, and it seems a little overwhelming to me to try to post and distribute across each platform.
Sure.
Talk to me about Instagram is best for blank, YouTube is best for blank, Facebook is best for blank. Like, what should we think about when we think of each of those in video?
I want to set the record straight first. So like, you know, when people are thinking about putting video out, a lot of times they result to like not putting video out because it's exactly what you said. They're just so overwhelmed with putting video on every single platform that exists, which is not what you should be doing. So let me just give you an example. You know, if anybody's been in the social media sphere for the last, 5 or 6 months, you've probably heard of TikTok. And this is not a platform that an active real estate investor should be putting content out on. Why is that? Is because that's not your target audience. And the bottom line is when you're putting content out, no matter what you're doing, the two things that you have to, the two rules of content marketing is who is your target audience and where is their attention? Where do they hang out at? So unless your target audience is an 18-year-old girl that likes the Migos or, whatever hip hop artist is out there, then that's not where you should be putting content. And, I've had clients come to me and ask me like, I just had a conversation with Mike Hambright. We put out his content that goes out on his social platforms. And we were having this conversation. He's like, yeah, we're not going to TikTok. I'm like, oh, thank God, Mike. Thank you so much. But like, I've had clients come to me and ask me about it. And it's a legitimate question, because it's a hot thing right now. It's a hot trend. TikTok is growing. It's growing fast. But the principle stays the same is no matter if it's TikTok or it's LinkedIn, LinkedIn, you're probably not going to build an audience of motivated sellers. You shouldn't start a podcast if you're an active real estate investor because you're not going to build a subscriber base of 100,000 motivated sellers to listen to your podcast weekly. So the principle goes across the same. So what I always recommend for an active real estate investor, let's just say you're doing specifically acquisitions marketing because that's normally what the top type of marketing that you're doing is, where you're spending the most effort and time. There's a couple places. Number one, website. First and foremost, website is the number one place you should be putting your video content. Number two, obviously YouTube, because a lot of times you're going to be putting your YouTube embed codes on your website in order to feed that video there. But YouTube is the number two search platform on the planet next to Google. So when somebody goes in Google, sell my house Baltimore, it's not just going to scrape websites. It's going to scrape YouTube for relevant videos as well. So YouTube, website, YouTube, Google My Business is an extremely underrated and underutilized platform. But at the same time, the reason why you got to remember that this is important is because Google is all about credibility. Like who's credible? And so that's why they use YouTube in their search engines. That's why they use Google My Business. So even if you don't have a physical address that you plugged into your Google My Business page, even like for me, if you go search Culler Media on Google My Business, it's not going to pull up my address. There's no reason because I'm not a brick and mortar business. I travel nationally across the country to go visit clients. But my business is on Google My Business, so it becomes relevant when somebody searches content marketing for real estate investors. So you can still put your business up there on Google My Business and make it relevant. And the awesome thing is that Google My Business, the way it's built out is extremely similar to any other social platform that you're going to go on. So you can actually post videos or images or screenshots of testimonials or reviews or something like that. You can post all that into a feed where somebody can literally go into your Google My Business listing and scroll through your feed just like a social media feed. So that's always been interesting to me, but I think Google My Business is very underrated. And you got to remember, if anything that has the word Google in it, normally you want to take advantage of it because Google being the number one search platform on the planet.
Good point.
So Google My Business is a big one. Facebook is a must. And those are the platforms that I think active real estate investors should be putting content out there. So I would even say Instagram, probably a no-no. And the reason being is and this is obviously, again, like if you're going to put content marketing out there directed towards motivated sellers, you're not going to grow a following on Instagram of motivated sellers. Now, I understand Facebook too, but Facebook is also a search engine, which people don't think about. So Facebook is one of those platforms where somebody can search sell my house Baltimore, and Google will actually pull up a Facebook page that's relevant to that search. So that's why it's important to do, but they're not going to do that with Instagram, or they're not going to do that with LinkedIn. So that's why it's important to populate your Facebook page. Instagram is meant more for a creative platform. So it was literally built. I remember getting on Instagram because I'm a creative. I remember getting on Instagram in 2011 because I wanted to post some of my travel pictures from Jamaica when I went in 2011 because I took pretty good photos. I wanted to post my art that I was doing, my graphic design work and all that kind of stuff. And so although I do believe that a lot of real estate investors are jumping on Instagram, so it's a really good influencer platform for real estate investors, but it's not necessarily a good platform for you if you're an active investor looking to market to a motivated seller. So hopefully that makes sense, but that's kind of what I wanted to break it down with.
Man, you just blew that answer out. That was incredible. It was incredibly helpful for me because I've wondered that for a long time, but I love that you said it was really like principle driven, right? Yeah. The principle stays the same and you're thinking about your target audience. I love that, man. That was killer. Okay. So once we have our platform down, right? How should I plan? How should I distribute? And then how should I like measure and sort of pivot my message after I've gone on to create?
Sure, absolutely. So I think the first thing I want to address is a little bit of a conversation that we had when I first jumped on the feed here was, how to actually get started, right? So like before you get to distribution, you got to start. You got to have a video to distribute. So let's talk about that first real quick because I've got some core things that I tell people. I'll just tell you guys this right off the bat. I deal with far more people that are uncomfortable being on video and being on camera than I do people that actually enjoy being on camera. I would say probably 8 out of 10 people that I deal with when I'm videoing them hate being on camera. So out of 10 people, only 2 actually like it and are okay with it.
So it's normal if they hate video.
It's normal. It's not normal for a human being to love and attract attention and be able to articulate a specific message, especially if you don't have a script, right? Which we're not going to use scripts on videos, guys. Just let's keep that in mind. We're staying genuine. We're staying relevant to the audience. But where you start, first thing is like, you got to understand, a lot of times, let's just relate this to business. There's a lot of things in business that we have, you may still be bootstrapping because you just have to do that. That's just something you have to do in your business, whether that's, when you first started your business, you had to, do your bookkeeping. That's how I started off. I had to do my bookkeeping, and then eventually I delegated that. That's all stuff that I hated doing. So videos the same way. At some point, you may hand that off to somebody, your acquisitions manager, to shoot videos instead of you, or somebody that you have on your team that is better on camera than you are. But you still need to do it, and that's the important thing to understand because of how popular video is and how powerful it is when somebody is looking for answers to their questions when selling their homes, or, again, if you're on the disposition side. So where to start? The first thing is that, like, just start. The second thing is topics. This is the biggest barrier that I get from people is, what topics do I talk about? So there are a few things that you can do very easily. Number one is every time you jump on the phone with a seller, write down every single question. I don't care how elementary it is. I don't care how advanced it is, how stupid you might think it is. Write down every single question that a person has on the phone. There's your topics. That's what you're going to shoot videos about. Transcribe those videos, throw those into articles, throw both of those on a website. You're golden.
That's fantastic.
So that's number one. That's the easiest thing to do, is just write down, and you can obviously go back to previous sellers that you've had, and if you can remember some questions that they had, write those down too. Or you can even go back to somebody that you worked with and said, hey, what were questions that you had in your mind when you were working with us? Ask them that. It's a good way to stay in touch with them. So ask them that and just say, hey, we want to be able to help people in the future that may have these questions just like you did. So we're going to create videos around these. So that's a good way to do it. Another platform that I like to use is called answerthepublic.com. So this is a really cool website where you could type in a keyword or a key phrase and, type in sell my house and then hit enter, and it's going to spit out a stupid amount of data that's going to give you all search keywords and key phrases that people are searching in addition to that key phrase that you typed in. So hopefully that made sense.
Yeah.
Another very similar platform, which is, hard data as well, is the Google Keyword Ad Planner. So if you just type in Google Keyword Planner or something like that, then it'll come up. And this is like hard data from Google where you could type in a key phrase, keyword, and additional topics will come up that are searched in addition to the question that people search. So those are a couple platforms. Obviously, you can always analyze what your competition's doing. Go to their website and see their FAQ sections and see what topics they're putting content out about, articles or videos. And those are the videos that you're going to do. And these are like legit questions that people have. And that's all content marketing is, which again, content marketing. So you got marketing, the big umbrella, you got content marketing in its own silo, and then you got video content inside of that silo. And so inside this content marketing silo, the only purpose for content marketing is to answer the questions that your target audience has, period. That's all. That's the pure definition of content marketing. And so you relate that to your videos. So when you're on the video, don't sales pitch the entire time. You want to provide value up front, address the pain point, provide the value, and then give the call to action at the very end. So it should be 90% value, 10% call to action. So you can say, hey, if this is a problem that you've had in the past, then go to our website, joshbuyshouses.com, and get in touch with us, and someone will be, fill out the form, and someone will be in contact with you shortly. So that's where you want to start. And so start there. Now there's two ways to create content. Number one is produce. So produce is like lights, camera, action. You've got a whole setup, you're in a studio, that kind of thing. That is by far my least favorite way to create content, create video, because it takes a lot of setup, takes a lot of know-how, a lot of experience on how to actually produce, shoot the video, edit it, all that stuff. Documenting is the second way. Documenting is awesome because here's what you do, guys. Next time you go to a house, when we get out of this quarantine, or if you can go to a house because it's vacant, you go to a house, just film yourself and just say, hey, we're actually about to buy this house. You guys see this foundation issue right here? We've actually purchased houses with this problem before, and here's what we did to solve that. We were able to, even if we didn't buy this house, we're still able to point the person in the right direction to get this fixed or to, exit this property in a good and timely manner without a lot of stress. So bring some value. But when you're at a house, when you're dealing with, documenting is exactly what a testimonial video is. When you're at the closing table with the seller, you're saying, hey, seller, can you just give me a really quick testimonial, just the experience you had with me, and you shoot that video real quick on your cell phone, then that's documenting. So don't complicate the process. And then the last thing that I've got here in addition to that, and I feel like I've talked a lot, but this is just all, this is like my spiel,
This is a master's class right here.
So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. I know I'm running through a lot, but a lot of this is more psychological stuff. It's stuff that you got to be thinking about as opposed to just trying to strategize the whole time. Like, it doesn't take any strategy to, go to a house that you're pre-looking and whip out your phone and just talk about the deal that you're doing.
That was so tactical that I love it.
Yeah, exactly. So just, and it just takes effort of thinking about it and keeping that on your mind. Like, because sometimes I've been somewhere and I was going to shoot a video and I forgot about it. Just keep that in your mind. Just think about it. So the last thing here is equipment. Like, what equipment do I use, Josh? This is like the two biggest barriers are topics to talk about and then equipment to use. I'm just going to tell you right now, one of the most powerful content producing tools that you could ever use on the planet is right here. It fits right in your pocket and you can take it anywhere you want. So here's the thing is that if you have a phone that's, let's just say, younger than 3 years old, you have an extremely powerful camera on your cell phone. So most people have iPhones. I've got a Samsung. These are powerful cameras that you can use to just film video. And then the microphones on the phones are meant to pick up a voice and lock onto that voice and eliminate any ambient sound. So, hey, you got no excuse for good audio and good video there. And if you want to pick up your game on audio, go to Amazon, pick up a $20, $30 lapel mic that can plug right in your phone, hook that up to you, and then you're golden. Now, the next phase of it is, Josh, what about editing and production and stuff like that? I'll just tell you right now, thanks to platforms like YouTube, let's say Snapchat, because they were one of the Kickstarters on that, Facebook stories, Instagram stories, people are more okay than ever right now to consume content that is raw, unproduced content, you screwing up, dog barking in the background, sirens coming down the street. Like people are cool with that. I was recording a podcast yesterday. It was actually with my Cambright, and my wife came in the door literally like the last 2 minutes of our podcast, and my dog started barking over here. I'm like, hey guys, sorry, my dog's barking here. She's right next door. Wife just came in, but hey, this is what I got left. So be okay with that. And that just shows that you're human, that you're a human being, and people relate to that nowadays. You don't have to have crazy setups and crazy microphones, crazy cameras. Just do it. So,
dude, that's awesome. Hey, you're just like giving me so much info right now, as well as the audience. Nick's asking, what about animated videos? Would you recommend any animated videos like that?
In 2012, I would have. That's because they were hot. It depends on the time that you're in, right? So right now, interviews are a massive way to put content out there. Just think about it. If you go back 5, 6, 7 years, barely anybody was doing interviews. It doesn't even have to just be a podcast. It could just be, on Facebook, you can go live and then invite one of your friends to go on the live feed with you, and you guys can just have a live conversation right then and there, and it's an interview. So there are times that change. So animated videos, they are not, let's just be like philosophical here. They're not real. They're not genuine. They're not, they're very scripted, obviously, and that's the purpose of them. But at the same time, like, people want to see faces. Now in a day and age where we're going a lot of AI, we're going a lot of, AR, and right now, the time that we're in, a lot of what we're doing is digital and it's virtual. People want that personal connection, especially the demographic you're going after, which is, normally if it's a seller, it's going to be, your average is going to be 45 and plus. They want that human to human interaction. They're the type of person that types 0 20 times when they're on the phone with AT&T to connect with somebody that's a live person, as opposed to going through automation. And that's what you got to think about. So animation, I think they're easy to do, but they're overused, which means I'm going the other direction.
Authenticity, I love it. That was one question I was going to ask. I'm a big proponent of moving in the other way as the herd, moving away from the herd, right? Is there something that you believe in marketing that is drastically different than other marketers that do what you do?
This is not going to be a popular one. So for the longest time, I was actually against direct mail. And then I started seeing, and I granted, a lot of people, they have different opinions depending on what market you're in, depending on who you're marketing to. So direct mail, when we were doing it back in 2016, 2017, got no results. So we were doing all kinds of other marketing. We were doing a lot of PPC because it wasn't super popular. So what I would say is right now, everybody's doing text blasting, and I would go directly away from that, especially right now in the time that we're in. People are sensitive. We're already at, I think last time I checked, it was like over 10 million people are unemployed right now.
Yeah.
And if we learned anything from the previous crash, Dylan knows this, like 13% of people in the 2008 crash lost their homes too. So like people are very sensitive right now, and they don't want to be hammered by text messages from people that, are just pitching and trying to buy your home and that kind of thing. So if you do text blasting, be very sensitive and very, very empathetic on the messaging you put out. But I would just say, like, any kind of automated text, automated marketing, obviously running ads. Like I'm running 7 Facebook ads right now. Running ads is automated marketing, but you see my face, and it's not like it's like I'm like interrupting your day when you're sitting on the couch, crying because you lost your job. And a text message that comes in doesn't know that person's crying on the couch because they just lost their job. So just be careful of that. I know it's an unpopular opinion. I'm just letting people know, like, that's the biggest thing. And again, like, I think that people need to be focusing on building your buyers list and dispositions, because again, if history repeats itself and we have 13% of people lose their homes that lost their jobs, and this pandemic that's going down right now, there's going to be over 1 million foreclosures that hit the market, and there's going to be a surge of inventory. Like I said, I remember like it was yesterday when HUD shut off because there was no more deals, and we had to make a transition overnight from dispositions marketing to acquisitions marketing because there was no deals, and nobody was doing acquisitions marketing. We were all building our buyers list.
Yeah.
And Dylan remembers this because we were doing wholesale deals in Michigan, and like, I think right now, if you're not actively building your buyers list and finding cash buyers. And you don't have to have thousands. You got to have maybe 15, 20 that are really good buyers. Build those buyers and market to them and just say, hey, I might be having some deals coming your way here pretty soon. So just be ready to go and keep that rapport with them. So that's what I think people need to be focusing on.
Dude, I love that you can bring the actual background into the marketing side and that you have such a dynamic mixture there. But, you know, you make a lot of sense in that. I agree with you on text messaging. Really good points.
I would say be careful. You know, like, again, maybe don't turn it off, but just be careful.
I completely agree with you. We've definitely toned down our text messaging, but turned up cold calling in the past 3 months or so ourselves. Yeah. We're going to run out of time in just a few minutes. I believe it was Clark that asked, can you elaborate on any differences between a video you put on YouTube versus website versus for motivated sellers, or can you use the same video across those platforms? What should a video be shorter than or longer than? Like what length?
Let me pull that question up real quick just so I can answer that specifically. So can you elaborate on the difference between them? Okay, so here's the thing. If we're talking about building an influencer brand. So for instance, I'll just use Mike Cambright because most people on this call know who Mike Cambright is. So we do Mike Cambright's content marketing, right? And we're trying to build his influencer brand on the different Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, a couple other places. So we have to be careful with putting the same video on the same platforms because there's not really exclusivity behind it. This is why it's so important to understand why you're doing your content marketing, is what I take people all the way back to. So are you creating content to build a YouTube subscriber list, or are you building content in order to get leads in the door and close deals? Because I don't know how many times I was starting to work with somebody doing their content, and I get a call like, hey, we posted this video, and it's directed towards motivated sellers. And they're like, hey, we posted this video and it didn't get 10,000 views in the first week. And I'm like, that's not the goal, man. If your goal is to close 2 deals and you get 4 views on it and you close those 2 deals, it's a successful piece of content. If you get 100,000 views on it and you close 1 deal, it's not a successful piece of content. So that's why you got to understand the goals behind why you're doing the content marketing. So to answer this question specifically, if you're doing a video towards motivated sellers, post that same video no matter where your audience is. So post it on the web, post it on Facebook, post it on Google My Business and YouTube, and then these other places that I suggested. So I think that answers the question, but that's what you need to be thinking about. It's like, what is the purpose for this video? And if it's to convert somebody and get a deal through the door, get a lead in the door and then close that deal, put that video out wherever that person is. I mean, then obviously you can, let's see here, we're talking about length too. Depends on the topic. So let's talk about video length just really quick. And this is a pretty easy one. If it's an intensive, so let's just say when I'm filming with somebody, I always have them do a video on the process of selling a home to them, right? So what's the entire process from start to finish when that lead comes in to the closing day? So they're talking about pre-look, they're talking about appraisal, they're talking about the closing day and how you get paid and that kind of thing. That's going to be a 4 to 5 minute video. That's going to be a pretty lengthy video. I would even go as far, what I do is I have them film that all the way through, and it's more of a summary, but then film 5 separate videos that are 1 to 2 minutes long, breaking down each step of that process. So you have one video that goes out talking about how you get paid when you sell your house. You have one video go out that talks about the pre-look when we come out to check the property out and see what repairs need to be made. We have one video that goes out on how we structure the offer that we're going to make for your home. So that's what I would say is, like, if you're going to do intensive topics, it's better to create multiple videos and make them 1 to 2 minutes long, as opposed to do 10 topics inside of a 20-minute video. You don't really want to do that because people lose attention. Yeah. And in this whole process for the sellers, you gotta remember, it's not easy for them. They're familiar with the traditional way of selling their home, which is with a realtor. They don't know who you are. People think a real estate investor is a suit on Wall Street. They don't realize that you're a home buyer. So you got to break that down for them and talk to them like they're 4 years old.
Absolutely, man. You made some really good points. Dude, I appreciate your time so much. I, for one, I've seen your work with guys around me, guys in our industry, guys that I know, guys that I don't know. And all of the videos always look really good. I enjoy watching behind the scenes. and your level of knowledge is just off the hook, man. So this year, I'm going to put it on as one of my goals to hire you and do some content for our website, man.
Cool.
Like, I've seen enough. I need to participate now. But if you're like, if other people want help, what should they do with you? I mean, specifically, how can they contact you? Where should they follow you? I know you have a podcast.
Yeah, I've got a, so I'll just push people to that. I've got a podcast that both, Josh and Dylan have been on, called the REI Marketing Weekly. It's a podcast specifically talking about marketing. That's it. Nothing else. We don't talk about anything else but marketing for active real estate investors. We do have a website that just launched today. So you could go there, but it's got a picture of like a sunset with a clock on the front, which I want to change. And I just didn't have time to change it today because I was doing a video. Stop laughing at me, Dylan. Bro, I'm going to come over there to Detroit. But yeah, you can go to that website. It's reimarketingweekly.com. And then it has all the links for you to be able to subscribe and check out everything that's going down. Some really cool interviews that are coming up pretty shortly. So I think we're up to like 35, 40 episodes right now. And we've already got 60 in the queue. But you could go there and then, connect with me on social if you want, Instagram, Facebook, Josh Culler. And I put out a lot of content that teaches about content marketing and marketing specifically for real estate investors.
Dude, I love it. Thank you so much for your time and your knowledge, man. It just goes a mile deep. I'm super impressed by you guys. Go follow this guy. And you need to look no further than another authority for marketing. So follow him and do what he says. Thank you guys so much for showing up today. This elevator is going up. See you next time.